Students, it's Mr. Duke. This week in social studies, we're going to be doing the triangular trade. You can look at the picture in front of you on the screen, and you can see why we may call it the triangular trade. So we're going to learn a little bit about that. Let's take a look at some of our learning goals. So we're going to be able to identify the triangular trade route, explain why it was important. Pay attention to this last one. Describe what the Middle Passage was like for enslaved Africans. So, just to let you know, and this is the reason we would have sent a letter home to your parents before starting this unit, we are going to be touching on enslaved Africans in the Middle Passage, whereby they were brought from Africa over to the New World. It's a very heavy subject. You know, sometimes history can be fun. It can make us laugh. It can be exciting. And sometimes it's sad, and sometimes it's a little depressing. And if you feel sad or upset as you go through this, that is completely understandable. What happened to the enslaved Africans in the Middle Passage was absolutely horrific, but it's something that we need to know about. We need to know history so we can honor the people who were involved in it. So we're going to take a brief review. We see what trade is: export and import. Export, you send something out. Import, you bring it in. You're going to answer on slide 5, what shape do you see? You're also going to answer, why do you think this was called the triangular trade route? All right, slide 6. What regions, areas besides Europe were involved in this trade? Name one thing each region exported or sent out. Now, you can read this the following way. So you see the arrows, right? The big fat arrows there. If the arrow is pointing towards someplace, you see, for example, we'll take indigo here. Indigo from North America to Europe. This was an export from North America to Europe. Wherever the arrow is where it ended up. You can see exports here as well. You can see an export from Europe over here. Slide 7, you're going to take a look at a Powtoon about the Middle Passage. Here you're going to look at a fun interactive map that's going to tell you about what's going on. Okay, do you remember what specialization and interdependence means? So it'll give you a definition of the words. Just take a look at those. You don't really have to do anything with them. Here, write 2 things that you learned about the triangular trade. Just any 2 things, preferably in complete sentences, starting with, one thing I learned about the triangular trade is, or was. Write one question you might have about the triangular trade. So as you look at this, as you read the information and listen to the Powtoon, what question might come in your mind about this? Next, it's going to describe what we're going to look at: enslavement in Africa, voyage across the Atlantic, arrival in the Americas. Like I said, this is where it gets a little heavy. You're going to click here. You're going to read pages 78 to 84. So just click on the link. It's going to bring up the PDF. And you just need to read that. All the pages are together. So if it says like 78 to 80, they're all going to be together. 78 to 84. Mr. Duke's computer is pretty old and moving slowly. So you'll just take a look there. And then I want you to think about this question. What was it like for enslaved Africans? Just think about that. Last slide. So on the last slide, you looked at 3 questions. Now, you're going to click here, which will take you to a Padlet, and that's going to be where you answer in 1 or 2 sentences, what was it like from what you have read. So all of 5th grade is going to be using my class's Padlet. So don't worry if you don't see your teacher's name. Feel free to comment on or like someone's post. And as always, if you have any questions or need any additional information, please ask your teachers. So good luck in social studies this week, guys.